خانم آقایان به مرکز ایران شناسی دانشگاه کالیفرنیا خوش آمدید. من فکرم اکثر ما ایرانی هستیم، البته یک دو نفر داریم که انگلیسی زبانی در حقیقت اسپانیایی زبان هستن و سخنرانی امشب برخلاف پریشب به زبان انگلیسی است. اگر پریشب بودید صحبت خانم دکتر قاسمی به فارسی بود. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to have the lecture in English as it is scheduled. Welcome to the Center for Persian Studies. I will not take too much of your time. Let me just briefly introduce Dr. Ghasemi, who received her PhD in Persian language and literature from Allame Tabatabai University. In 2018, she served as the director and professor at the Khayyam Iranology Center at Nebrija University in Madrid. From 2019 to 2021, she was a visiting researcher at the Complutense University of Madrid, where she focused on comparative research between Persian and Spanish literature. Currently, she's dedicated to researching Persian manuscripts in Spain, where she lives, and teaches classical Persian. And teaches at the Autonomous University of Madrid. She has curated the Persian manuscript collection at the National Library of Spain, and has authored a catalog, which I luckily have a copy gifted to me, the Persia en la Biblioteca Nacional de España. So without further ado, I would like to invite her to come to the podium to talk about the iconography of the Tetramorph in Spanish and Persian manuscripts. Please.
Thank you very much. به نظر من بله، چون بهتر نوشته خیلی به تصاویر وابسته. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Daryai for inviting me to speak on the subject of Tetramorph in Persian and Spanish manuscripts. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Arya for organizing this talk. This topic involves artistic and cultural exchanging across vast distances, spanning thousands of kilometers. It has provided me with a research opportunity, one that I am delighted to present today. I'm deeply thankful for the chance to share my work here at the Jordan Center. Last year, I served as the curator of an exhibition on Persian antique manuscripts at the National Library of Spain. During my research, I came across the magnificent Persian manuscript wonders of creation, Ajaib al-Makhluqat. When I was preparing the catalog, the National Library held another exhibition about the most important Spanish medieval manuscript, the Beatus of Liébana. I was astonished by the impact of the images and the similarities between some of them and those in the Persian wonders of creation of Ghasemi. This discovery sparked the investigation that I will present today. In this talk, I will focus on 4 anthropomorphic hybrid figures described both in the text and in the images within the manuscripts mentioned above, which deals in a way with Persian cosmology and Christian apocalypse. The illustrations in both of them represent a symbolic content of these images that comes from visionary and epiphanic revelations. These kind of texts and illustrations help us understand different different cultures, traditional conceptions, enigmatic artistic representations, and the influences between them. Many of these symbols can also be found beside manuscripts in architectural monuments and various other art pieces. But this is not the specific objective of this talk. Trade routes linking the East and West, wars and conquest, and itinerant artisans, the translation schools, among other factors, played a key role in the transmission and exchange of not only goods, but also scientific, philosophical, religious, and artistic knowledge, which was later adopted and reinterpreted also in Occidental culture. And of course, we should consider Al-Andalus, the Muslim territory on the Iberian Peninsula, which acted as a cultural bridge between the Islamic and Christian worlds. This is the manuscript of Wonders of Creation, Ajaib al-Makhluqat, in the National Library of Spain. I would like to talk about Beatus of Liébana, the Beatus manuscript or corpus of manuscripts composed by Beatus, the abbot of the monastery of Liébana in north of Spain, significantly shaped Spanish national identity as well as its artistic and cultural heritage. Written in the late 8th century, when almost the entire peninsula was occupied by Muslims and the Christians felt threatened. These copies refer to a collection of manuscripts, originally Spanish, or commentary on the Apocalypse or the Revelation of Saint John, the Evangelist, the last book of the New Testament. The most famous of all Beatus manuscripts is the Codex of Fernando I or Fernando I and Doña Sancha, the king and queen of the Castile and Leon, created around 47. It was a bestseller in Spain during the early Middle Ages. These manuscripts captivate us with their vivid colors and expressiveness, bringing to life the most cryptic text in the Bible. The illustrations and figures have undoubtedly left a lasting impression on those who see them. I don't know if you watch this.
That timescale is a masterpiece. This is the version annotated by Umberto de Bologna. How many more rules? How many more books?
Name of the rules that we see these manuscripts here in this sense. And also, the word apocalypse in its original Greek sense refers to a revelation or unveiling, but it's much more commonly and specifically applied to a type of visionary religious literature prophesying the end of physical world and the second coming of Christ, at the end of time. My accent is Spanish. The adjective apocalyptic is often applied to concepts and images concerned with vast destruction. For example, Pablo Picasso's mural Guernica evokes feelings of horrific and terrifying devastation and could have been adopted from one of these manuscripts of Beatus in Paris. Guernica has been called apocalyptic, referring to the bombing of the town of that name and horror of total destruction during the Spanish Civil War. You can judge with your eyes. unbelievable, no? Unbelievable. And this documentary, I'd like to recommend this, filmed on location in Spain. The documentary journeys through the towns, villages, churches, and monasteries involved in the creation of the surviving manuscripts. It includes an investigation by Professor John William and one Iranian, Hamid Shams. I think you enjoy seeing it. And Tetramorph.
And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And the first had the likeness of a man. The face of an ox. The face of an eagle. And the face of a lion. And out of the midst
The Atlas manuscripts shows clearly the figures of tetramorphs. The term is derived from the Greek tetra, meaning 4, and morph, meaning shape, which are a set of 4 living creatures located around the throne of God. We can see another images in the Beatrice manuscripts. In the National Library, the same. Now we see here, like, and then here in the and here. This manuscript is located in the British Library. This one is Seven Bible. And the Tetramorphs of Book of Kells. Now, the prophet Ezekiel. We should mention the vision of the divine glory from the book of Ezekiel, which emphasizes the symbolic nature of these beings. From the text, we have his sentences. Then I looked, a whirlwind was coming out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire engulfing itself. From within it came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Each one had 4 faces, and each one had 4 wings. Each had the face of a man, a lion, each one had the face of an ox, and the face of an eagle. When interpreting the Bible, Christian authors imbued the living creature of Ezekiel with symbolism. For example, in the 2nd century CE, Irenaeus, in his book Against Heresies, and in the 4th century Saint Jerome, in his book Commentary on Ezekiel, argued that each of these beings represented one of the evangelists. The man symbolized Matthew as his gospel being with the human genealogy of Christ. The lion represents Mark, who opens his book by referring John the Baptist, the voice of one crying out of the wilderness, with the lion being a desert animal. The ox symbolizes Luke, as he begins with Zachariah's sacrifice, with the ox being a sacrificial animal. And the eagle represents John, Saint John, as his writing is the most abstract and soar above the others. These associations were literally transferred to art, as we could see in the iconographic motif, commonly known as Christ in Majesty, which depicted inside a mystical almond representing the celestial space, a familiar subject in early medieval Christian art up through the 12th century. Here in Spain is Royal Pantheon of San Isidro in Leon. And this is in Madrid in the Prado Museum. It's the same. The representation is found in manuscript painting, ivory carving, frescoes, and other media. In the Royal Pantheon of San Isidro in Leon, belonged to the 12th century, and then by the 17th century, gradually it was replaced by human figures accompanied by being zoomorphic creatures, which were eventually reduced in size and positioned beside or at the feet of the evangelists, like this image. Having talked about Beatus, now we go back to Persian wonders of creation. Zakaria Ghasemi was a geographer and national historian known for his encyclopedic work, The Wonders of Creation, was written in the 13th century, first in Arabic because of the language of Arabic Empire, and he later produced a Persian version and is considered the most famous Islamic cosmology. Translated into various modern languages worldwide, the text explores different spheres and marvelous beings, providing a glimpse into the ancient Iranian worldview of various natural phenomena, geography, astronomy, animals, plants, mythical creatures, and so on. In the first section, following the description of celestial bodies and constellations, there is a depiction of angelic creatures, including 4 specific angels. The first had the appearance of Adam, with the human face. Adam in Persian also means human being. The rest of them have a human body and a different animal face. The second angel is depicted with ox head, the third vulture, which is replaced with an eagle in some other texts and in Christianity. And the fourth as a lion. These figures in the Persian cosmology are considered the most notable, the most noble and beloved angels. Other angels communicate with them morning and night, greeting them with the word peace, salam. The figures from a cohesive group arranged in order against a blue background with white clouds. In other manuscripts, according to text, they hold the throne of divinity. Actually, their title, that is Quranic, is bearer of the throne or heaven, Hamelane Arsh. It is not surprising that in Christian medieval imagery, God appears as Christ in majesty, surrounded by the mystical almond and supported by the 4 evangelists. It is particularly interesting that in the Persian cosmology, the bearers of the throne protect or pray for creatures of similar kinds, as expressed in the phrase which translates to each one is patron of these species. The similarity of these figures with the Christian Tetramorph is astonishing. Somehow it talks about the transmission of symbols. The similarity of these figures with the Christian Tetramorph yeah, it's surprising. The four figures are depicted together. One of the similarities, they are placed in a prominent position close to the sacred rail. All are shown with wings, which can be interpreted as an allusion to their role as messenger, carrying a book or a scroll. The words angel and evangelist, both derived from Greek, means messenger and messenger of good news, respectively. They are messenger between mankind and God, between the celestial and terrestrial realms. Furthermore, in both cases, they are bearer of the celestial throne or divine chariot, with constant movement, morning and evening, like the stars, glory in perpetual motion. I should mention that there are also Quranic verses that refer to these angels, stating that these four angels of immense greatness will become eight on the day of resurrection. However, no reference is made to their appearance. In London. Now I would like to go back to the time before Christianity. We will soon discover that Ezekiel lived in Babylon in the 6th century BC. So the living creatures he described could easily have been inspired by the winged bulls with human faces and flanked some of the entrance to Assyrian palaces. The Tetramorph has been linked to Sumerian culture, where the first city empires rose, and the iconography of Tetramorph first appeared and was popular during the Babylonian period. Fixed signs of zodiac, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, or water barrier, and Scorpio, which the eagle is considered one of the symbolic astrological representation of that. These celestials defined the zones of the sky through which the sun passes during the complete cycle of the year. The vernal equinox, summer solstice, autumnal equinox, and winter solstice, respectively. These figures together correspond to the four angelic figures. And here I would like to mention four classical elements. In the Church of Saint John the Baptist in Mormont of Ojeda, Palencia in Spain, dating back to the 12th century, the bases supporting the four figures differ. For example, the man angel's feet are obscured by waves, possibly symbolizing water or clouds, and eagle by wind. That reminds us the four classical elements. And the colors of images of the throne barriers in the Persian text and the Beatus manuscripts correspond to the colors of four elements as well. The lion represents fire, the eagle air, the angel in human form water, and the ox earth. And in the text of Ezekiel as well, we had the colors of amber, beryl, the color of an awesome crystal, the noise of many waters, burning, cause of fire, just for mention. And we should keep in mind that we are discussing Persian texts and miniatures, and note the recurring themes. Additionally, we must consider that Persian influence on both Jewish traditions and Christianity, particularly in apocalyptic literature and the depiction of the war between demons and humans. Therefore, I would like to reference ancient Iranian thought regarding these figures. Human. The first one in the miniature of the wonders of creation, while the four figures are similar in height and posture, the one with the human face is slightly taller, appears more slender, is positioned in front, and seems to initiate the movement and wear distinctive clothing. This reminds us that in Zoroastrianism, humans are viewed as helpers of God. God needs humans, and humans need God. As Ahriman, the evil spirit, is humanity's enemy. Also, Zahak, who had two serpents growing from his shoulders and fed them with the human brains, offered sacrifices to goddess Anahita and the god Vayu, thousands of cows, horses, and other animals, in an attempt to destroy humanity. The flying ox. Reinhold Merkelbach argued the Iranian divinities were imagined in the shape of a bull. The bull is one of the most remarkable creatures in the ancient depiction of the universe. In ancient Persian mythology, when the rains first came, the earth split into 7 pieces. Men were unable to pass from one region to another unless they rode on the back of the mythical bull, Sirishuk. Sirishuk is carefully watched over by the righteous Gopaksha, mythological Iranian king, half man and half ox. The Zoroastrians tried to trace their 3 more famous fires back to the primeval history. All 3 are said to have been carried on the back of Sirishuk. Jamshid, that in Persia and India appears as a king, stands as the ideal prototype of all kings. Jamshid is also prized for his construction of a vara or cavern to protect against terrible winters. But Jamshid is also remembered as a sinner. Zoroaster condemned him as one who sought to please men by giving them ox flesh to eat. In other texts, he is said to have been proud and to have lied by claiming divine qualities. Some believe that a bull sacrifice thought to give immortality was linked to Jamshid. This gave him a power that in Zoroaster's faith actually belonged to God, the power to make man immortal. An inscription in Mithraism under the Church of Santa Prisca in Rome says that Mithras saved man by the shedding eternal blood as the elixir of immortality, likely from the bull. Ox and human. Ahriman and demons tried, based on Persian mythology, tried to attack the holy man and the ox. As the ox died, 55 species of corn and 12 species of medicinal herbs grow from his limbs, and its seeds passed to the moon where it was purified, giving rise to the different species of animals. So too, man, as he died, passed seed to the earth. Thus, from this body made of metal, the earth received the different kinds of metal, and from his sperm grew the first human couple, Mashia and Mashiana. From the ox came animals, from man the human race, and life was triumphant. The coming of Zoroaster has been foretold by various sacred beings, including the primordial bull, who was slain by Ahriman during his initial attack on the world. The bull protested to the creator, claiming it lacked protection. However, upon learning of Zoroaster's future appearance, the bull consented to return to the earth. As we can see in Zoroastrianism, not only human beings, but also animals have souls. A bald-headed mace of Mithra, carried by priests as a symbol of the war they must wage against the forces of evil. Here I would like to make a quick reference to Shahnameh, the national epic of Iranians. Feridun is fed with the milk of a cow. Zahak kills the cow. This act is significant because it represents the destruction of good forces, aligning Zahak with evil. Feridun, wielding a mace topped with bull's head, then attacks Zahak palace. Another figure, vultures. It is evident from the Avesta that birds belongs to the good creation, as many mythical and real birds are described in laudatory terms with features possessing magical qualities. In the Persian cosmology's Tetramorph, we find the vulture instead of an eagle, possibly due to the unique connotations associated with vultures in Persian culture. For example, the importance for their role in funerary practices. Or when in the Horde Avesta, the hero Feridun takes the shape of a vulture. Albert the Young, in his book discussing Greek and Latin texts on the religion of the Persians, says it is similarly tempting to regard the information found in Philo-the-Virus as referring to Ahura Mazda. Zoroaster, the Magus, literally says in the sacred collection of the Persians, God has the head of a hawk. He is the first, eternal, everlasting, the most incomparable, and the best of the good. From this book. And also maybe we can refer to Simor or Mor Husayna in Avesta, a mythological famous bird that we have its presence in Shahnameh and then in mystical books. And the other animal, lion. The motif of a lion attacking a bull occurs 27 times at Persepolis and thereafter in many Persian art. Its frequent appearance and key locations near the throne room at Persepolis strongly suggest it had important symbolic significance. One interpretation is that the creatures represent this astrological sign of Leo and Taurus and the sequence of the seasons, and also a symbol of the sun. And I would like to mention too the first coinage in ancient Lydia, and the coins of Lydia from the period of Croesus. In the image of lion and the bull facing each other was engraved. After the Achaemenids conquered Lydia, they initially adopted this style of coinage featuring the lion bull motif and continued minting it. In later periods, even during the Islamic era, the lion motif occasionally appeared on coins, for example, under the Seljuks of Rome or the Safavids. Here I have some more photos of lion. This is the wonders of creation of Tusi. 1 century before Ghasemi. And another image of lion in Daqaiq al-Haqaiq in France. Here we should also pay attention to the absence of certain animals, as they are considered harmful or repulsive. In Zoroastrianism, these creatures, termed Hraftsra, the higher hierarchy due to their special proximity to the throne of God, is symbolically represented by animals with elevated heads and firmly plant their limbs. In contrast, animals lacking these characteristics, such as aquatic creatures and those that crawl or cling, are excluded from the role of barriers. In the Book of Marvels of Creation of Ghasemi, the author described how, according to tradition, the 7 heavens are inhabited by different angels. The angels of the first heaven have the face of a bull. We could see similarities with Ismail as their representative. In the second heaven, the angels have the face of an eagle, represented by Mikael, and vulture, horse, and huris, and human. This is the Library of Congress. Lion is absent from these 4 figures. Sparking of the figures, I would like to mention 7 grades of initiation in Mithraism. Each stood under the protection of a planetary deity. In these figures, we can find Raven, like a bird, stood under the protection of Mercury, Lion, Jupiter, the highest grade, that of Father, and many reliefs shows Mitra and Sol sharing a banquet denoted by grapes, wine, and bread over the bull's body, or a table draped with its skin. Finally, I would like to emphasize that we can find these figures in many other civilizations. They appear in the main figures of Iberian statuary, the 4-headed canopic jars from ancient Egyptian tombs, and the facade of Komombo Temple, 2nd century BC. Or the 4 sons of Horus were a group of 4 deities in ancient Egyptian religion. In Judaism, traces of these 4 exalted beings can also be found. They serve as the 4 signs and symbols of the camp of Israel in the wilderness surrounding by tabernacle. In the commentary on the Old Testament, it is mentioned these symbols have been preserved by Jewish traditions. According to common belief, the sign of Judah is the figure of a lion, Reuben resembles a human, Ephraim is symbolized an ox, and Dan by an eagle. These 4 symbols correspond to the forms of the cherubim in the vision of Prophet Ezekiel. These miniatures reflect humanity's collective unconscious and the similarity between the Spanish apocalypse and biblical traditions, Zoroastrian, Mesopotamian thought, and Judaism. The communication among these iconographies invite us to highlight and reveal the dynamic interplay of cross-border relationships, all under the shared mystery of the same sky and the natural world. Thank you for your attention.